Hello fellow scaled modelers, welcome back to another video. It's your host Ray. So today's video is just a video on a Thunderbolt build that I just finished. I just want to talk about it. It's not going to be a review or anything because I've done way too many. So yeah, let's begin. This HO scale Thunderbolt is actually custom built for someone else. It's not something that I plan on keeping. It's the same guy who bought the Thunderbolt that I was selling for my 500 subscriber special. By the way, I'm almost at 600, so that's gonna be interesting. Uh, but yeah, this Thunderbolt is based off of the Thunderbolt 1000 located in Waterloo, Iowa, behind Fire Station 5. Uh, and I think it's a 1960s model. It might be 1959, but I highly doubt it. But it's early 1960s, that's for sure. And yeah, the guy just asked me to make it for him, and yeah, I made it, and I'll be selling it to him pretty soon, hopefully, if the box will cooperate. But yeah, this is easily the hardest build that I've ever built with the Thunderbolts, at least the HO scale Thunderbolts. This is the hardest one that I've done, and and it's also the tallest, since I actually had to use the blower pipe that was provided and add an extra length of it to replicate the size of the pole, because the real life one is actually a little bit taller than this one. It's just that I didn't have a long enough pole to do it, so I just tried my best and used the tallest pole that I did have access to. And yeah, I'll just go over some closer details, and that'll be the end of the video. Okay, so this is the Siren Head. This is easily the hardest. Why do I keep saying easily? I'm very sorry. My narration skills have dropped over the years, if I had any skills. So this is the Siren Head, and this is the hardest part of the build itself, well, like the cosmetic-wise. The hardest part of the build, I'll get to that. But yeah, the Siren Head was actually a pretty interesting build process because, well, I had to make a new mesh screen, and the original mesh screen that came with the kit, or I'll just say the bird screen, because it is to prevent birds and other debris from getting into the horn and causing damage to the siren. The original screen that was built for that purpose that came with the kit was this one, and I really didn't like it. It was kind of oversized and it doesn't fit too well, so I ended up cutting up a little bag made out of nylon tulle. I think that's how you say it, tulle. I'm not sure, but yeah, this material here, this back here. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, this material, and yeah, it was kind of hard to work with. I had to airbrush it, so it was a darker color because it was almost clear originally. So yeah, I airbrushed it and glued it into the horn, and it turned out quite well. As for the weathering, I just did it with some paints, and it came out a lot better than I anticipated, but I mean, it's not the best job, not the worst, so that's nice. The hardest part of the weathering was the, okay, you might not be able to see it, but it's the little triangle and circle there, the faded civil defense logo. That was really hard to replicate. I had to redo it twice. First time, I just screwed it over. Second time, a water drop came in and screwed up all the paint. And third time, it worked. So that's very nice. Over towards this end of the rotator, there was a lot of rust on this side. And it was just, yeah, it was very hard to do. But I ended up letting the paint almost dry. I let it to the point where it was pretty much dry, but I could still scratch it. So I ended up scratching off these little the yellow portions here. I ended up scratching the paint from there to expose the yellow, and it came out wonderfully, so I'm glad that it turned out that way. And here's the other side, just a faded civil defense logo and an ID badge, nothing that I haven't done. And of course, this thing rotates a full 360 degrees in both directions. Now, about the rotation, it was originally really, really loose. I would try to put it onto the rotator and it would keep falling off, but with the paint coats that I added, it just ended up staying, so that's nice. And I'll move down to the rest of the pole. Before I move down to the rest, however, I want to talk about these little hooks that you will see throughout the entirety of the pole until you get to the control boxes. Those little hooks are styrene plastic parts that I cut up, custom made, and I'll tell you one thing. the glue I had was not cooperating. I glued my fingers together 3 times while trying to set this up to glue the little hooks there. And these aren't actually hooks, they're ladder steps. And they allow for someone who's doing maintenance, which I don't think it's a very good idea to climb on these anyway, but they allow someone who's performing maintenance to climb up the pole and get to the Siren Head to perform maintenance and do whatever. But yeah, you'll see those little ladder steps on a lot of, well, not a lot, but quite a few civil defense installs, siren installs, but you won't see them that on anything that's post, I'm gonna take a wild guess, 1960s, 70s. You won't see them anything after the 1970s. And now for the base of the pole and just that, the base of the pole and everything. I need to stop repeating that. So here's this little street light, and there's actually a funny story behind this one. I ended up using spare plastic parts that made up a Model L siren. I ended up using spare plastic parts just to make the light itself. And this little light cover here, it's a clear part from a post-it note. And since it was sticky, I was able to put it around the light itself, and it was really easy to just glue it on from there. The hard part was mounting the siren, not the siren, oh my god, mounting the light on the pole and gluing this wire here to the actual light itself. I had to use Tamiya extra thin quick setting cement. By the way, this stuff is amazing with styrene parts, so I highly recommend using that. But yeah, this was the hardest part in getting that glued. I had to wait like 30 minutes before I could handle it, and it ended up gluing just fine. So that's good. And then I had to bend it to glue onto the pole, which wasn't hard. And yeah. I know this is taking up a bit of time, so I'll try and finish this up as soon as possible. Now, here's why I say this is the hardest kit ever that I've ever built. Because of the wiring. Okay, hold on. You guys can't see anything with the pixels on the screen, so let me move the camera again. Okay, try your best looking at it. If you can't see it, then I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. So yeah, there's the little wire going from the RCM cabinet, which is this thing, going to this ASC radio. And then there's this rusted wire going from whatever this thing is to the power disconnect. And then there's a very dark wire going up to the rest of the pole to about where the light is, and then it receives power from there. Yeah, just the amount of times I glued my precision tweezers and a ton of other things together was just terrible, and it was painful to do, but I'm very happy with the result. And when I showed it to the guy that I'm selling it to, he said that he was fine with it, so yeah, that's good. Yeah, here's some more details. I have no idea as to why they did this, but for some reason the RCM and some of the wire going to the air compressor is just green. I don't know why it's green, but while the rest of the siren is yellow, which I find actually kind of cool that it's green. But yeah, I just noticed that was kind of peculiar. As I said earlier, it's a pre-1964 model, so it doesn't have the vent on the cover of the air compressor. And of course there's the concrete slab here that I made out of styrene plastic parts. So overall, it was very fun to build, very hard to build, but I think it was worth it. And yeah, I just wanted to make this video before I sent it out, and I wasn't able to review it, so yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And I also have some pretty hot content coming up with other sirens that I've made. Sorry for twisting the camera so much this way. But I also have some other hot content coming, so yeah, stay tuned for that. See you guys later.